Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 11th day of January. Well, it is a wonderful day out there, 28 degrees and partly sunny, and there's so much that we really need to talk about today. And before we do that, we'll also look at what our Premier has put out yesterday. So what Queensland is looking like at this point in time before we go into the rest of the things. And of course, today we have back the Daily India report, so we're really looking forward to that as well. But first of all, let's get the update of the news.
Men's tennis world number one Novak Djokovic has returned to training after being released from immigration detention. He's posted a picture on Twitter with his team at Melbourne Park thanking a judge for overturning his visa cancellation. Police used pepper spray to control fans outside his lawyer's office in the CBD last night. Immigration Minister Alex Hawke could still exercise his powers to cancel Djokovic's visa again. A major clean-up is underway in Maryborough in Queensland after torrential rain and flooding. An emergency declaration made by police remains in place for the CBD, with residents warned to stay away from the areas as the recovery effort continues. The first day of COVID vaccinations for primary school-aged children has been plagued by distribution and supply issues as parents struggled to book appointments while others had scheduled jabs cancelled. The head of the COVID-19 Vaccine Task Force, Lieutenant General John Fruin, is calling for parents to be persistent, saying if GPs do not have vaccine appointments, they should try pharmacies. And supermarket shelves could remain empty of some goods for at least another couple of weeks, with thousands of staff sick with COVID-19 or in isolation after being designated as close contacts. Between 20 and 40% of distribution centre employees for Woolworths and Coles are currently unable to work, causing widespread food shortages. Some quarantine rules are being eased for asymptomatic supply chain workers.
Well, that's the update there for this morning, and as of course we know that Novak Djokovic, his case, number 10, and well, when that was being done, when his case was, the judge overturned the decision, there were lots of refugees there. They said, "Don't forget us as well." Well, as promised, right now, let's take a look at this report from Queensland Parliament House.
Please go and get vaccinated. You are a tourist destination. A lot of people are coming into the Gold Coast. It is a fact that unfortunately in the southeast area, the Gold Coast is just under the state average.
A substantial number of the cases are occurring on the Gold Coast. About half of the intensive care admissions, or just over half, 11 out of the 21, and about a quarter of the ward admissions, 101 out of 419, are currently on the Gold Coast, suggesting that there is a significant surge of the virus there on the Gold Coast.
The surge does seem to be happening on the Gold Coast at the moment. I'm concerned about that, and so I'm urging people, if you are not vaccinated yet, to please go and get vaccinated.
So the message is very clear. If you are not vaccinated, please go get vaccinated. And if you are in any kind of doubt, please go get tested. Because, with the testing, you will know where exactly you stand. Of course, we do understand that there are some challenges in terms of getting to a testing station and things like that. But even then, I think in times like this, we should just do the right thing and go and get tested as soon as we can.
Nationally, more than 200 people were admitted to hospital with COVID in the past 24 hours. While the Omicron variant is resulting in a lower proportion of people ending up seriously ill, the sheer number of cases is resulting in an increasing number of hospitalisations and deaths, with New South Wales today recording its deadliest day of the pandemic so far, with 18 of the 22 deaths around the country. Of nearly 600,000 active cases, 5,300 are currently hospitalised and 90 are on a ventilator. With thousands of healthcare workers forced to isolate, the health system is being stretched. Now, other key industries are contending with staff shortages too, leaving supermarket shelves bare. Coles and Woolworths are dealing with shortages of 30 to 50% of distribution centre staff.
As the case numbers continue to rise, the volume of cases will of course have an inevitable impact on the workforce. And so we're looking to maximise those who can remain in the workforce.
National Cabinet last week announced health workers who are close contacts would be allowed to return to work as long as they don't have symptoms. Today, that was extended to key industries like food production and distribution and emergency services. The PM says transport and aviation will be the next to be considered and suggested the new rules may even eventually apply to the hospitality sector.
Anyone who is symptomatic or has COVID, they are not going into work.
The country recorded more than 71,000 new cases today. But we all know that's a gross underestimate because with the old testing system overwhelmed, more rapid tests are being done.
A number of medical experts are now saying that Australia is most certainly in the let-it-rip stage of management of the pandemic. Why are we at that point now?
No, I don't accept that analysis because that's not the approach the government is taking at a Commonwealth level or in the states and territories. I'd describe it more as I said before, as pushing through.
Hundreds of millions of rapid tests, ordered as case numbers started to surge last month, haven't arrived yet, so they are still in short supply and subject to price gouging.
So there you are, up to date on Australian Indian Radio. So the COVID-19 antigen rapid test, the oral fluid, on order, but has not been delivered. We have a lot of problems with delivery, especially in the food chain sector as well. And just because of that shortage, there are restrictions which are being eased to allow for workers to come and fulfill themselves.
Supermarkets are struggling to restock shelves. There just aren't enough workers, as 500,000 Australians are currently infected with COVID and many more are close contacts.
Rules that were written for one situation have to be reconsidered and redone again for Omicron.
Existing national guidelines allow close contacts who work in healthcare and aged care to go to work so long as they're not symptomatic. That's now being extended to people working in food processing, food production and distribution and emergency services, so long as they continue to return negative rapid antigen tests.
We're looking to maximise those who can remain in the workforce.
Most states and territories are adopting the changes, and the exemptions could be applied to even more industries later in the week, such as aviation and hospitality.
I think this is quite dangerous and it's quite a short-sighted approach.
The Transport Workers Union is worried that allowing close contacts back into workplaces risks making the problem worse.
It might be better for a couple of days, a few days, but then as the virus spreads, we could see transport supply chains being even more affected.
The major supermarkets are confident the changes are safe and will help.
Now, you have two choices here. You can push through or you can lock down. We're for pushing through.
It's not a binary choice, though, between locking down and opening up. There are many adjustments that can be made to testing, tracing, isolation and quarantine, to the vaccine program, to social and public health measures. But the Prime Minister appears to be portraying it as two stark options for political purposes.
If Labor are for lockdowns, that's for them.
But the Labor Party hasn't called for more lockdowns, nor has it opposed the new exemptions from isolation requirements.
I think with all of these issues, we should follow the advice of the health experts.
In fact, the opposition leader has assiduously avoided suggesting a different course of action, likely for political reasons of his own. Melissa Clark, ABC.
So there we go. The political reasons come in, and as they do, but they should not in cases like this. So what's happening with the vaccination program as it opens up?
Like most kids, Amelia Ellis isn't a huge fan of needles.
How are you feeling about getting your vaccine?
A little bit scared and worried.
The Canberra 8-year-old is one of the first Australian children aged 5 to 11 to get the COVID jab after they became eligible this morning.
Comfortable? Yeah? All right, let's go. I really wanted to get Amelia in straight away so that we could just get it done.
I'm a little bit nervous.
All the professionals have said that 1 dose is better than none.
All good to go for one of those. Thank you. Children are given the Pfizer vaccine at 1/3 of the adult dose and will receive 2 shots 8 weeks apart. Experts say it's an important milestone in the pandemic.
Children between the ages of 5 and 11 really need to be protected from COVID infection. We do not want them to get COVID. We do know that it is a less severe infection than in older children, but there is still the possibility of more severe disease.
The stress levels have been extremely high for the last 2 years, as in so many areas. I am worried about my reception team.
Sydney GP Margot Davis was supposed to begin vaccinating kids at her practice this week. On Friday, she was told the delivery wouldn't arrive in time.
I was absolutely exasperated, and quite honestly, as someone who's pretty tough, I was very close to tears. Look, unfortunately, I'm going to have to reschedule your daughter's vaccination booked for Wednesday.
Her team rescheduled 50 kids' appointments, and then today, after 7:30 asked the health department about the delivery, the vaccines turned up.
I do believe that if you do commit to a date like we do, if we commit to a time and appointment, we have to keep to that.
The Department of Health told 7:30 it is continuing to work with GPs and pharmacies across the country to ensure they have sufficient doses.
I do want to emphasise again that there is enough paediatric doses in the country to offer every 5 to 11-year-old a first dose before they commence school this year. If you can't get an immediate appointment with your primary healthcare provider, if that is your GP, please do try the pharmacies, please do try the state hub.
In the United States, hospitalisations have jumped in kids under the age of 5, but the overall hospitalisation rate among children and teens is still lower than any other age group. Paediatricians say recent data gathered in New South Wales during last year's Delta outbreak offers some encouraging insights.
It's very reassuring in terms of the low proportion of children requiring hospitalisation. And even those children who did require hospitalisation, a lot of those admissions were precautionary, with children being reviewed and only in hospital for 1 or 2 days. Over 90% of children not requiring oxygen.
The program that we have to have schools come back, stay back, day 1, term 1.
Attention is now turning to how kids can return to the classroom. Queensland has already pushed its school return date back, with New South Wales set to reveal its plan later this week. Teachers are still working out what term 1 will entail.
Some of the strategies like teaching outside, opening doors and windows for ventilation may or may not apply in various levels of efficacy depending on the location of the school and the architecture. The schools are going to have to be adaptive. We also have no idea about how many teachers may become unwell with this.
National Children's Commissioner Anne Hollins says closing schools should be a last resort.
School is about much more than academic learning that can be replaced by Zoom. School is a social learning environment where social and emotional skills are developed that are the platform for all academic learning and development and success in later life. During those lockdowns, we've also started to see the very negative effects on their mental health.
The Commissioner argues if supply chain issues are complicating the delivery of some vaccines, the Army could help out ahead of the school term starting.
If that's the only problem, then for heaven's sake, we've only got a few weeks to go. Get the Army in now, because that's what we do in a crisis. Get them transporting the children's vaccines if we have to, because that's part of actually prioritising children now.
The Department of Health says more than 2 million paediatric doses are being distributed and a further shipment of around 1.2 million doses is arriving shortly. Amelia's parents hope the return to school goes smoothly, but know better than to make plans during a pandemic.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous about what things are going to happen with Omicron and an environment such as a school, which, you know, people often say it's a petri dish. That said, I'm kind of not 100% keen for a remote learning experience again.
So there you are. It will be challenging for all the kids to go get the vaccinations. I know there is some anxiety there, but as the authorities have said, that we do have enough in supply to get it all through. Well, right now we'd like to welcome Helen Reid from the Bureau of Meteorology, as she's going to be talking about the weather, and of course with the weather, mainly about the upcoming the cyclone and the situation on the cyclone, to see where we are up to with that cyclone.
Helen Reid, H-E-L-E-N-R-E-I-D. I'm a meteorologist at the Bureau of Meteorology.
Thanks, Helen, for that. Yep.
It's Monday the 10th of January 2022.
Okay, over to you, Helen.
Cyclone Tiffany, rated as a Category 2 tropical cyclone, has crossed the northern coast of Queensland, Cape York Peninsula, and is currently just to the south of Cowan. Tropical Cyclone Tiffany is expected to continue on a westward track and emerge over the Gulf of Carpentaria tomorrow morning. A tropical cyclone warning has been issued for coastal communities between Cape Grenville and Cape Tribulation on the east, and on the west, Mapoon down to Gilbert River mouth. Heavy to intense rain is forecast across the Cape and Torres Strait today and tomorrow, particularly areas north of Port Douglas. Storm force wind warning for peninsular coastal waters, gale warning for the Cooktown coast. There are also severe thunderstorms, and a flood watch has been issued for the far north. In the southeast of the state, the Mary River is still in major flood. The river has peaked on Sunday night, just shy of 10 metres, which is below the peak of 2013 with 10.7 metres. Floodwaters are expected to drop below major level later today and ease back to moderate level during the course of tomorrow. No significant rain is forecast over the southeast of Queensland for the coming days, so that will enable those floodwaters to keep receding slowly. Keep up to date with flood warnings at Bureau of Meteorology website or app. In the far west of the state, a low intensity heat wave continues, and there is also the possibility of isolated thunderstorms for today and tomorrow, as there is a weak trough to the west. As we head to the latter part of the week, Thursday and Friday, southeast beaches may be impacted by a moderate easterly swell due to the location of Tropical Cyclone Cody south of Fiji and a high near New Zealand. Keep up to date with all forecasts and warnings at the Bureau of Meteorology website, www.bom.gov.au/QLD.
And thank you very much for that, Helen. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, keeping an eye on the weather to see what's really happening there. Well, of course, we've all heard about the tennis player, and let's see what the solicitors had to say.
This is the outcome I expected. Yes, the Mr. Djokovic's lawyers put a very compelling case, and that case won the day.
Can you unpack a bit more about, what it is that was so strong about Mr. Djokovic's case here?
Certainly. The main thing that the court was concerned about was the unfairness, the manifest unfairness to Mr. Djokovic about the way the officers at Melbourne Airport conducted themselves. They took Mr. Djokovic into, you'd have to say into custody at about midnight or 11 o'clock. They kept him there until 8:30 in the morning. Throughout that period, they allowed Mr. Djokovic to take a rest, and they said, we'll contact you again at 8:30 when you're rested. The officers came in and woke Mr. Djokovic at shortly after 6. and told him it's best for him if he takes the action they were suggesting right away, right then. So they went back on an offer to Mr. Djokovic. They said that nothing he could say or do would change their view. They had Mr. Djokovic in custody without his phone. He couldn't speak to his advisors or lawyers or his agents. And for the officers to say there's nothing he could say or do to change their view must mean that they'd made their mind up even before they came to Mr. Djokovic. That is unfair to Mr. Djokovic.
The court has released some transcripts of that immigration interview that do paint that picture of quite a lot of pressure being put on him by Border Force officers. At one point, Djokovic says he couldn't get through to the Director of Tennis Australia, anyone from the Victorian state government. Is that standard procedure in these kinds of interviews with other, less high-profile immigration cases?
I think, regrettably, it is part of the course, but Mr. Djokovic, in the way he handled himself, appears to be more capable than, say, many people coming in. People coming in and are taken into this custody are absolutely devastated, and they can't ask the sort of questions or put the sort of propositions that Mr. Djokovic did put to the case officers. So it probably happens much more than we would like it to happen.
Well, it happens more than what we'd like it to happen. That's unfortunately the truth of the matter. That's where we stand. Well, right now, before we go to the first Daily India report of this year, is a message from our sponsors of this segment.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.
And real estate is the world. Don't forget that from tomorrow we resume the real estate updates with Usha Chandra of GlobeNet Realty. And today we welcome our team from Delhi once again with the Daily India report. Welcome to Himanshu and Munish Gupta and Ken Gupta Sahib. Welcome once again. As we know that PIO TV, we have got a very close relationship with the Gupta family for a long time. So through our association with PIO TV, and of course through Gopio, they've always been on the forefront of Gopio. So we've had this long-standing relationship, and wonderful to get this the first Daily India report from India is featuring today. And with that, let's welcome Himanshu.
Welcome to the Daily India report. India's Health Ministry has reported a big single-day rise of 179,723 coronavirus infections, including 4,033 cases of the Omicron variant in 27 states and union territories so far. The number of active cases in India has increased to 723,619, the highest in around 204 days. The death toll has climbed to 483,936, with the latest fatalities being 146. Of the total 4,033 cases of Omicron variant, 1,552 have recovered or migrated. Maharashtra recorded the maximum number of 1,216 Omicron cases, followed by Rajasthan 529, Delhi 513, Karnataka 441, Kerala 333 and Gujarat 236. The active cases comprise 2.03% of the total infections, while the national COVID-19 recovery rate was recorded at 96.62%, the Indian Health Ministry has said. India is gearing up for a big battle between political parties as 5 states go to the polls.
We will have to
Election
return to this
Commission of
report
India
as we are
announced
just
a
connecting
schedule
with our
for
Premier.
assembly polls.
Volunteers, the council, the state member in his office, everybody has worked tirelessly around the clock to do everything they possibly can to keep this community safe. So now as we enter into the recovery phase, it's great to see that some of the money is going out to individuals, so around $900 for a family and $180 for an individual. But what's very clear to me today is that businesses need the support. Having spoken to Mel and Ken that own the painting business shop in town, to looking at Westpac, they're trying to get some mobile facilities here to help because they're going to be out for a while. To the women working in the jewellery shop and the coffee shops, obviously it's a bit of heartache at the moment, and I can understand that this is not the first time it's happened to them, this is the second time. So this community is so resilient. I'm absolutely so proud of the people here, and to have that unprecedented amount of rain in such a short period of time, and people are now just getting on with the job. They're able to come out of their homes, they're cleaning up, and I just want to thank everybody who is working hard to ensure that people get back onto their feet. So in terms of rapid assessments, I can advise that yesterday Gympie and Bundaberg and parts of the Fraser Coast were being looked at for their rapid assessments. Today the focus is on Maryborough, Glenwood, Rowena and Theebine. And those assessments will be happening, and we'll be making sure that we can work out exactly what extra support is needed. I'm advised about 380 customers are out in Maryborough at the moment, and of course businesses are not out, but we've spoken to the Ergon and Energex crews, and they're out there trying their hardest to get power up as quickly as possible. I understand that the food supply chains are coming back in, which is great, and that Queensland Rail will open at 6 p.m. tonight as well. As with disasters of this scale and magnitude impacting this particular region, the Fraser Coast region, we always have a disaster recovery coordinator. And I'm very pleased to say that this person who I'm going to announce is no stranger to the Maryborough region. I have asked Paul DeJersey, former Governor of Queensland, to come back from his leave to actually help with the cleanup. Now, Paul retired from being Governor. He's been here many times. I think Bruce will attest that he's been visitor to this region whilst he was Governor, and he has accepted the position of being the recovery coordinator for this community. So out and about, talking to people and making sure they get the supports that they need. So I might hand over to the Commissioner to say a few words, and before that I might just add, with the tropical cyclone, it's wonderful to see that we are not hearing of any bad impacts of Tropical Cyclone Tiffany. It's been downgraded now to a low pressure system. It could reform over the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll be monitoring that very closely. So I'll hand over to the Commissioner, then the local member, the Mayor, and then we're happy to answer some questions. Thanks, Commissioner.
So yeah, sorry to interrupt that one there, because as soon as the feed came through and the Premier was going live, and it's good to see that the management system there is already ticked and played, and Paul DeJersey coming out of retirement to assist with the clearance there. That is wonderful. That's what we are, Queenslanders, rising to the occasion and doing what's needed to get these things underway. Well, right now we'll go back to the Daily India report and resume from there. As I mentioned before, that sometimes we need to cross over there and then as the reports come through. Well, here is the Daily India report once again.
The Indian Health Ministry has said. India is gearing up for a big battle between political parties as 5 states go to the polls. The Election Commission of India announced the schedule for assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Uttarakhand, Manipur, Goa to be held in 7 phases between February 10th to March 7th. The mother of all domestic political battles has begun in India, as 5 states are set to go to the polls starting 10th February. The biggest of all fights will be in Uttar Pradesh state. UP elections will be held in 403 assembly seats in 7 phases from February 10th to March 7th. Elections in 60 constituencies of Manipur will be held in 2 phases on February 27 and March 3rd. Polling in Goa with 40 seats, Punjab 117 seats and Uttarakhand with 70 seats will be held on February 14th. Votes for all 5 assembly elections will be counted on March 10th. The elections will determine which way the winds are blowing for the BJP, which had to repeal the 3 farm laws under pressure from farmers across the country. Farm laws had the biggest impact in poll-bound Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. It was clear that BJP government had sensed a growing disaffection that could have harmed its electoral prospects in UP, where its leaders were unable to even enter villages in western UP for campaigning. With Prime Minister Narendra Modi offering a public apology while announcing the decision to repeal the farm laws, the BJP hopes to salvage the lost political ground. The BJP had bagged 312 seats in the 2017 UP polls and 325 seats with allies, the first time any party had secured such a massive majority since 1977. The Samajwadi Party, which had tied up with the Congress in 2017 and managed just 47 seats with Congress reduced to 7, has tied up with Rashtriya Lok Dal, this time along with smaller parties including of Om Prakash Rajbhar of Suhel Dev Bharatiya Samaj Party. The SP and RLD are together hoping to put up a massive fight in UP, especially in western UP where the impact of farmers' agitation and anger against the BJP was palpable until a while ago. For the BJP, it is vital to retain UP. It is key to winning 2024 general elections in India, which is why Union Home Minister Amit Shah recently told the state voters, quote, "If you were to see Modi as PM in 2024, make Yogi Adityanath the CM in 2022, end quote. The Congress will be fighting for political relevance, having been left in power only in Punjab, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh on its own and in Maharashtra in alliance. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party will be testing its might outside Delhi with candidates in the fray in Punjab, UP, Uttarakhand and Goa. In Punjab, the Congress, which won 77 seats in 2017 under Amrinder Singh, is fighting a high-stake poll with not a single candidate announced yet, where challengers SAD and Aam Aadmi Party have named majority of the contestants. The ongoing turf war between CM Chiranjeet Singh Channi and State Congress Chief Navjot Sidhu, plus the aggressive BJP pitch on the recent lapse in PM security in the state will be important factors to watch in Punjab, where AAP is yet to announce its CM face, with Sangrur MP Bhagwant Mann a front-runner. India celebrated Youth Pravasi Bharatiya Divas with a virtual global conference on 9th January 2022 amidst the pandemic. The Minister of State for External Affairs, V. Muralidharan, applauded the achievements of the diaspora, especially the youth in the diaspora and who are path breakers in science, technology and innovation. Muralidharan said the government has taken a series of initiatives to connect to the diaspora and collaborate in science and technology. The Indian government marks 9th January as the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas each year with the celebration to recognize the contributions and achievements of the Indian diaspora. A big celebration is held every 2 years. 9th January 1913 marked the return to India from South Africa of Mahatma Gandhi. Muralidharan said the Indian youth has been making great strides in finding innovative solutions to current problems. and is a repository to futuristic thinking. He said, quote, "The youth, both from India as well as diaspora community, have made a remarkable journey in innovation, technology and creativity. All this talent around the world needs a platform to connect from, assist each other and also share the respective successes and challenges." The Virtual Global Youth Conference PBD 2022 carried the theme Role of Diaspora Youth in AKAM, Innovation and New Technologies.
The youth, both from India as well as diaspora community, have made a remarkable journey in innovation, technology and creativity. All this talent around the world needs a platform to connect from, assist each other and also share their respective successes and challenges. This Youth PBD conference is one such platform to share experiences, build friendships and find solutions to the present as well as future challenges. Connecting the youth with each other and with India is an investment for the future of the country which can shape the destinies of the coming generations.
Secretary in charge of Overseas Indian Affairs, Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya, Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant also addressed the conference. The illustrious personalities on the panel included Mr. Kalyan Krishnamurthy, CEO Flipkart, Mr. Kundan Joshi, founder and CEO The App Lab, Mr. Kiran Rampat, founder and CEO Kumar Rampat Cricket Academy, Mr. Amit Sodani, founder and CEO Qpos.com, Mr. Chankradhar Gede, co-founder Country Delight Private Limited, Mr. Rahul Jain, co-founder and CEO Peach Payments, and Bharat Sharma, founder and CEO of Monsoon Consulting. Iran has said it will cooperate with India in shipping humanitarian assistance, including wheat and medicine, to Afghanistan. In a dialogue with Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian did stress the need for an inclusive government in Kabul. The offer of cooperation made by Abdullahian during a phone conversation with India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar on 8 January 2022 assumes significance in view of hurdles created by Pakistan for shipping 50,000 tons of wheat offered by the Indian side. The Indian government sent 500,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine to Afghanistan via Tehran on January 1st. Since there are currently no direct flights between India and Afghanistan. The situation in Afghanistan was a key part of the discussion between Abdullahian and Jaishankar, who reviewed a range of bilateral, regional and international issues. The use of Iran's Chabar port, where India operates a key terminal, also figured in the conversation. Jaishankar and Abdullahian also discussed the COVID-19 response of India and Iran. Abdullahian referred to the good trend of vaccination in Iran and said, "We have been able to properly contain the virus and so far 89% of people have been vaccinated and are receiving a third dose of vaccine." Referring to the talks in Vienna on Iran's nuclear program, Abdullahian said the discussions are going in the right direction. He said, quote, "We have the necessary will to reach a good agreement in good faith. And if the Western side also has this goodwill and determination, we can reach a good agreement," end quote. Jaishankar said Abdullahian's forthcoming visit to India would be a very good opportunity to develop bilateral cooperation. Bollywood is abuzz with the release of Abhishek Kapoor's film Chandigarh Kare Aashiqui. Female lead of the film, Vani Kapoor, steals the show. After attempting his mettle in drama genre with a handful of films like Rock On, Kedarnath and Kai Puche, director Abhishek Kapoor has forayed into a romantic comedy space for the first time with recently released Chandigarh Kare Aashiqui. Ayushmann Khurrana and Vani Kapoor play the lead in this mind-bending love story, says the director. Bollywood was abuzz about the release due to the fun-filled sequences in the trailer, the fitness of the leads and some energetic and soulful songs. Ayushmann Khurrana plays the badass character of Manu. Vani Kapoor essays the role of quirky Manvi. Director is smart to bring in the subject like transgender in the film that revolves around bodily transformation. The Manu Manvi jodi seems a great match. Their chemistry is real. The romance is top-notch. All this until Manu faces the truth of Manvi and is clearly not okay with it. If you look at the overall plot of Chandigarh Kare Aashki, it would seem like any other Bollywood masala romantic film. The only difference is that the hurdle is a major stereotype in society and plots exploration of prejudice against assigned gender identity. Metaphorically, Manvi reflects a person who dares to jump out of the box in which she has been trapped since birth. Like every other transgender woman, Manu reflects a society that is just not ready or prepared enough to accept a person like Manvi. Film might look like a typical Bollywood film, but Abhishek Kapoor brilliantly highlights a major issue here without making too much noise about it. That's all for this bulletin of the Daily India Report.
And thank you very much, Himanshu, for that report. So that was the first Daily India Report for this year. Welcome back from the holidays and wishing everyone, the team Delhi, also a very, very happy new year and looking forward to our continued cooperation. Well, right now it's time to say goodbye, and don't forget that our latest issue of Brisbane Indian Times will be out this weekend. So go to your favorite outlet to pick up your copy. The online version will also be made available. So right now, until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me.